There's only three types of people that will absolutely dominate the next 20 years. One is the high-skilled worker. This is technology. This is someone who understands blockchain, understands AI, understands the back end of coding and all of that complex stuff. The second one is the superstars. The 5% of every industry continue to crush it. It doesn't matter if the industry is dying or not. Comedy. I'd say 95% of comedians don't make money. That's a rough road. And the third is the owners. These are people that have access to capital, access to real money, or a very solid Rolodex and network. Those are the only three.
So welcome to the call, and this call is really special to me. I have somebody on here that's become a more recent mentor to me, but has had a huge effect on my life. And I met Peter really by chance. I didn't even know who Peter was. That was the funny part. I just contacted him because I was really loving what he was saying and what House of Crypto's Peter was saying, the other crypto, the Peter you know. And I was really loving where you guys are coming from around crypto. And I was just super impressed with your honesty and your integrity. And I could really pick up on it in his sub-communication. So I contacted him, and it's been really uphill, downhill. I guess it's really downhill since then. You know, things have been getting better and better. I've had my challenges, but what I've noticed with Peter that I respect so much, and I want to ask you about this, is your definitiveness, and your drivenness is so on point. Before I do, I also want to acknowledge he is the author of 2 best-selling books, 6 Months to 6 Figures, which is incredible, and seven Rules to 7 Figures, which are 2 books that are out there changing lives. I definitely recommend you check out those books. But in the meantime, I want to dive right into this question of definitiveness. You are the most definitive guy I've seen. I've actually played videos of you to some of my classes and shown how decisive you are, how focused you are, how real you are in a conversation, how you get to the point and make stuff happen. And I'm really curious, do you even recognize that in yourself? Is that something you had to develop?
It's definitely through experience and through what I've gone through, but it's also being aware of looking back at specific videos, conversations, podcasts, knowing who I was 5 or 10 years ago, knowing who I am now, and thinking about the changes. It's just came with learning more about myself, what I want, what I don't want. And it's people who are, I believe, who are definitive, who don't beat around the bush, who know exactly what they want and why they want it, and they don't waver. I think they value their time at the highest level. My life drastically took a change when I had my first kid, Santana, who's now almost 5. I already valued my time, but boy, did I value my time at a higher level when I had kids, because I understand the stats and where the culture is in terms of present parents and how many single moms there are, how many unpresent dads. So I want to make sure family is 100% first and I'm present. So I had to be honest, Brian, I had to be more definitive. It was, if I wanted the life I wanted for my family, for my kids, for my wife, for my influence and my impact on my community, I had to be straight to the point. I didn't want to waste time. And when I started valuing my time more, I started not to waste it, because the more you value your time, the more valuable it becomes and the more people respect it. So that's kind of where I believe it came from, but it's also just consistently, I'm obsessed. You could talk to my wife. I'm obsessed with figuring out why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I feel certain ways. If I ever get triggered, where's this come from? I'm obsessed with figuring myself out. And I think a lot of people just fly by the seat of their pants, and they never really figure out or understand why they do certain things, what drives them, what doesn't, how to be self-sufficient. And it's all played a role in me understanding myself and knowing what I want. And life is so much more enjoyable when you have clarity, and you move different when you understand your gift and your purpose. And that's just, I believe, what it is.
You're a big believer in that know thyself or know yourself inside, and it's interesting because I see so many people that just push and work hard and think that's going to do it itself. But you have this ability to look inside and do it like at a scalpel, like a surgeon level. Like you go in and you say, let's change this belief really quickly and let's make it change, because I get the feeling from talking to you that you know it's going to make a change on the external level. Do I have that correct? Is that the way
100%.
You look at
Everything starts. Your inside is a reflection of your outside, and how you feel about yourself and how deep you dig Most people don't dig deep into themselves, why they have certain thoughts, habits, behaviors, and they're in a prison because they are only at the mentality of what they grew up with from their parents, from their grandparents, from their environment, from the school system, from teachers, and they're stuck. But they don't know they're stuck because they've never questioned it. So for me, I question everything. I question everything I possibly can because I want to figure out what I'm capable of, because I can't tell my kids to maximize their potential in their life if I'm not. I can't say, you guys got to make sure you're not influenced. Make sure you know yourselves if I'm not. A lot of parents will push things on their kids they don't even do. And eventually kids will figure you out. So I want to make sure we're practicing what we preach, and I know myself and find myself so I can help them. So everything now, it's cool. Everything now is more about serving and giving, because the more you give, the more you get. So I pour a lot into my family, our community, my inner circle, as you know this, and I just continue to be blessed. So it's interesting. When you get off yourself and you get on purpose, life becomes better. And a lot of times, I don't mean to rant, but I have some people that are a little on the selfish side that I've known for years. Now they're older. They're in their low 30s. Some of them are reaching 35. Some older people I know, 45, 50, 60. And they've never been about the serving life. They've been about me, me, me. And these people are miserable, Brian. They are miserable. Selfish. I'm realizing this as I get older. Selfish people are the most unhappy. And I don't want to be miserable. I get my best fulfillment when I'm serving. So it just comes from that.
And I've seen people like what you're talking about. I can't remember who he was, but he was close to a billionaire. He's in the hundreds of millions. And he said he reached a point where he said, I was obsessed with making more money, more money, more money. He says, I didn't need more money. I was just so obsessed with it. And then one day I looked and I almost didn't have a family. I'd almost lost my wife. I'd almost lost my children. And I had to make a change. Yeah. He goes, I wish I had way less money and a deeper bond with my family. He says, this is his biggest regret. And
I've had billionaires tell me not to make billions to my face. They said, don't make billions. I have too many employees. I have no freedom. I never see my family. My kids don't respect me. I'm like, geez. So we have these influencers, or we have these people that are out there with 10 books and massive influence online from their communities, but their kids can't stand them. I think that's an actual failure. In my opinion, that's a massive failure. No amount of worldly success can make up for a broken home, in my opinion. So that's how I live. Now, that's my opinion. That's how I live. So I'm going to attract people that usually believe or feel similar things that I do. Now, if someone's like, go, 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 and they don't care about family life, maybe it's because they're past, they won't really relate. So I'm not trying to offend people. That's just what I believe based on my past, based on my worldview, based on how many bad things happen when parents don't become present parents and help their kids and raise their kids right, how bad the kids turn out and how bad that is for society. That's why I'm so obsessed with being a good parent, in a sense. So if you're going to have kids...
You talk a lot about your children. I love that, because I think that is one of the most, they're our future, right? And they're going to bring you tons of joy. But I've noticed with you have the Game Changers Academy. You have a lot of people that you work with in different groups, and you mentor. And, at first I wasn't sure, but I've come to the impression that you just care about each one of them more than you care about the money. And that helping them is like each one of them is your children. And you go out of your way to help each one of them become a success. And have you always been like that? It's kind of fascinating to watch you do it, because you put so much energy into the people.
Yeah, well, I had an experience when I was in sales. I started out in sales. And I've always been ambitious and driven, because I was placed in a box growing up and judged. And I was like, you ask any of my relatives, you talk to my parents, you talk to anyone that knew me growing up, they call me, I was like the devil child. I was like the problem child. I was so hyper. So when that was released into entrepreneurship, it was game over. So I got into sales, and it was my first taste of like, I can get paid based off my results. What a cool concept. Getting paid based off what you show your worth through action and results, not what other people think you're worth, and not where other people can tell you when to show up, when to leave. It was a blessing for me. So I went crazy. I broke the record in our office for the first 10 days of sales. And it was great for a while. I was making great money. I was young.
I think I know that business. Somebody came to, I think I know the business you were in because a guy was here the other day and he's never met you, but he was in the same industry and he was like, yeah, he's a legend over there.
So it was crazy because, and I didn't have a long-term vision of, as you say, being a legend or breaking records or anything, but it just was finally a chance for me to unleash my potential in a sense. But a breakthrough happened, Brian, that I didn't realize till years later. It gives me chills thinking about it. And you just brought this out of me. I don't think I've shared this much. I was doing well. I was making money and I was selling and it was fun. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do sales. And my manager at the time asked me, he said, can you take someone field training? I go, I don't know what that is. What do you mean? Can you take someone with you? I'm like, I do my own thing. I'm in the zone. It's going to be weird to take someone with me. He's like, this person has potential, but he's about to quit. He's not having any sales. He would love to just watch what you do because you're doing well. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Goes with me. I don't remember what I sell, but he tells me after the appointment, he says, you changed my life. That's what I needed. I wasn't doing certain things. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I wasn't doing these things. And thank you for doing that. You changed my life. That felt good. But I believe in the next month or two, he was the one who broke a monthly record for the office that I was in. He started to get close to me, and I was like, oh my gosh. But at the end of the summer, I realized after doing some digging and talking to my manager and him, he wasn't someone to share much. He was about to get evicted. He was only doing this for his family, and because he went with me, it was something that I changed his life, and he actually helped his family because of me. So I said, hold on. Why do I have more fulfillment and more joy and more excitement? And I'm more proud of helping this guy change his life and his family's life and not quit and be able to do well and make money when he was going to quit because of me. I got way more fulfillment doing that than even me making my first $5,000 or $10,000 in a week. At 2021. That's when I knew right there. I said, this is odd. Why would I get more fulfillment talking to someone else than myself? That was such a weird thing for me at a young age. I'm like, why would you get, it just was weird. And I never forgot that. And now it still rings true to this day. You'll get way more. That's why you see people that are billionaires and eventually they want to help people. They almost always eventually want to give back, write a book, help people. It takes people some longer than the other, but that's just, I see it all the time because that's the ultimate gift is serving.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. In my opinion, that's the whole reason we're all here. But unfortunately, most people don't realize it till they're like 50 or 60 or maybe never realize it. And so they never have a fulfilled life. I literally don't think we start living a fulfilled life till we start helping others and start giving back. And the first part of your journey might be figuring out who you are, but that next part, that's where life takes off.
It's an actual law. It's a law. You give, you get when you give. You get more than when you give, you get. It's a law of nature. The more you give, the more you get. The people, like one of the biggest givers I know is Pace Morby. He's a good friend of mine. He's a real estate guy. He gives so much and he gets so much because he gives first. So I would try it. If you're someone that's a taker or maybe you've been selfish in the past, try it for a week. Try to get outside yourself and see who you can serve and help and watch what happens. I challenge people, watch what happens when you do that if you haven't done that before. A lot of people probably watching this, Brian, have done it and lived that way, but a lot of people don't. And they say it even cures depression in certain things. When you get off yourself, because I feel bad. I feel stressed. I have a bad past. I'm this. I get off yourself. Get on other people. Help someone. My son, a couple days ago, was like pouting or something. And he's 4. He can pout. But he was complaining about something. And I wouldn't say he's spoiled because we think we raise him right. But he was complaining about something dumb and about not being able to eat a certain food. So I showed him this, what was it called? This video on kids with like in poverty that don't have food. And I saw it shift in his mind. He's 4, but I saw it. He was like, Why don't those kids have food? And I explained it to him, and he got it, and he's been better ever since. And obviously he'll probably pout again, but it's good to give him that perspective to realize, bro, you're blessed, man. You're very lucky. You got to stay grateful. Some kids have no parents, no shelter, no food. So it's just teaching him that mentality of serving and giving and not making it about yourself, which is hard. He's 4. But if I can do it young, watch what happens when he's 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, you plant those seeds grow. And I want to ask you, when it comes to the giving, the one thing I've noticed in people is when they give, they can't have any attachment to outcome. Do you find that to be the case? If there's a sense that they want something for their giving, what happens?
Well, it depends how versed they are and how experienced. I think it's natural to expect something back, and I think that's normal at the beginning, but you'll be let down too many times. The more expectations you have, the more you're let down. And as an entrepreneur that has influence, as a leader, you have to be used to getting let down, and you have to be used to taking the short end of the stick. If you get used to those two things and then you continue giving with no expectations, that's when you start to see blessings.
Beautiful, beautiful. So based on that idea, do you feel that everybody has a purpose? Something inside them that wants to be born out of them and given to the world? Do you think we're born with that?
I think everyone has a God-given purpose and ability, but it takes action. It takes self-discovery to pull it out. And it doesn't have to be something that you're born with. That's what I think. There's a myth. And I think passion is also a myth. You create passion by results, right? You think Tiger Woods was born passionate about golf? Of course not. But he was passionate because he got good because he was around the golf club all the time. There was a story in a book I read recently about this mom and dad who raised their 3 kids around chess. They never, ever have played chess, ever, the parents. But they go, we're gonna see if this works. They put chess everything, chess on their walls, chess movies, chess books. That's all they raised them. All 3 became grandmasters. One of them, I think, is the top chess player in the world. So was that their God-given ability? No, but they created it. So that's what I believe. I don't believe you're born with like an exact gift. It can change, but you're born with an ability to serve and to do something that is easier because it's your gift. And when you're in your gift, Brian, everything becomes easier and it's exciting, it's fun, and time almost stands still. Like for me, my first time speaking, I had 8 people in front of me. I had a sheet of paper. I was like this. Now I can speak in front of 4,000 people in Dubai at the Atlantis on a keynote in front of kings and princes and not be nervous. So it's just experience. Now I know my gift is impacting and speaking and helping people, but I wasn't like that. I was a selfish kid because no one showed me love. So I was like, I'm not going to, why would I show other people love when I didn't get love? Horrible mentality, but a lot of people don't get out of their childhood, right? So that's what I believe. You have to work on if you work on your gift, it'll make room for you. If you don't work on your gifts, they'll disappear.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I do remember my first time speaking. It was somebody just handed me the mic and said, entertain the audience. I'll be right back. And I had no speaking
experience. That was your first time? That's funny.
Yeah.
They're probably assuming that you were really good.
Yeah, it was like I was just helping out on stage, and I was kind of helping with the whole event. I think he just assumed for some reason, and it was a horrible. Oh, I bombed. I completely collapsed, and it fell apart. And I was only up there for a few minutes, but it lit the fire inside of me. I was determined not to be defeated by that experience after that. So I started working at it, and you're right. As soon as I got bit by the bug of having a really good talk on stage, oh my God, the fire started to take off inside of me. And when you see those people respond and they get some value out of it, it just lights you on fire more.
Would you say that's your gift now, like impacting people and speaking?
Yeah. I love to impact people. I love the deep, like you do. I love the deep talk. I love the going in and looking inside and saying, I know there's a pot of gold in here somewhere. What is it? What wants to come out? What gift do I want to give to the world? And then inspire that person to give their gift to the world. And it continues on. Ultimately infinitum, that's the whole purpose. The whole reason we're here is for that experience, I think, ultimately. And I see that you really believe in something that I really believe in. I wanted to ask you about it. When you think about making money in business, I get the feeling, and I want to ask you, I get the feeling you don't think a lot about making money. You think about, like, for example, you were talking recently with Joel about raving fans. You think about results, or what would be the way you would put it? Because you were saying it sounds like you're not worried about the money. You're not worried figuring out how to make money. You're figuring out how to create, tell me if I got this right, a community of people that are passionate. Do I have that right?
I'm focused on serving. 1, 2, I'm focused on creating economic value and making sure that I'm producing, because that's when men are the most happy and the most fulfilled and the most joyous, is when they're producing something, when they're actually being useful. And because of that, when I put people first and I focus on serving, and I have a very, very solid routine to force myself to continue to become more valuable and add value, the money comes. The money comes. And the reason I haven't focused on it is because I've set things up correctly the past 10 or 15 years, where I was very lucky and fortunate to have the right people around me at an early age, that I understand how money works. Now I don't work for money. Money works for me. So I have my book over here. Here it is. So my book, 7 Rules of 7 Figures, got endorsed by Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've interviewed him 3 times, and Patrick Bet-David, Grant Cardone. These people have helped me when I was younger and mentored me about how to understand money. The entire purpose of money is freedom. And the entire purpose of freedom is to serve and give back and do what you want on your terms. So I've set it up, Brian, where I don't have to work ever again. My real estate deals, stuff coming in, cash flow, continuity, and investments I've done in the past. Now, have I lost money? Yes, but I've learned to make money work for me, so I don't work for money. And when you don't work for money, you can do what you love, and money comes. So I just think that hasn't reached past the middle class yet, which it needs to.
If you were starting over, what would be your main focus? If you were starting from scratch, you lost everything. What would your main focus? What would be your main focus? I get the feeling it wouldn't be the money; it would be something else.
It would just be giving. One of my gifts is impacting and persuasion and passion and actually helping people solve their problems and get results. So I'd partner with probably a big influencer, someone like a Patrick Bet-David, or someone that I know that I would say, hey, let me sell your stuff. I'd partner, I'd sell it and build it back up, and then I'd start my own thing again. So yeah, I mean, it would be very, very, very simple to get back to 7 figures, because it's all about giving. And the entire purpose, the entire purpose of business is to create raving fans, like you said. The more raving fans you have, the more money you make. So that's the only focus, is creating raving fans. A lot of people are so obsessed with profit maximization before audience expansion. And they're so obsessed with got to make money before they give anything. Like, if you're asking for money in this new economy and with this younger generation before you ever show value, or before they know you have their best interest in mind, you're going to fail. It's 100% you're going to fail. Now, 5 years ago, Brian, you could do the whole, like, I charge this, give me this money, and I'll give you this value. That's just dying. You have to lead with value, and you have to lead with education-based marketing that actually helps people. So I'd start over. I would do sales.
Yeah, this is interesting. And you said something there that was interesting. You said that the way the market's changing, you kind of used a different set of words, but everything really is changing. I mean, I was sitting here this week talking with somebody about it, and another influencer, and he was saying he's never seen so many 21-year-olds making millions right now. It's kind of ridiculous how the whole rules of the game have completely changed. At the same time, I look out and I see 60-year-olds with ripped abs and perfect bodies. The whole world looks completely different to me, and I get the feeling that change has just begun. It's going to be radically different in another 5-10 years again. Do you see what's coming? Do you have any idea?
Sure. Well, there's so much more proof now. There was no proof 5 or 10 years ago. Now on social, you see every day. So for me, people are understanding the power of manifestation, and they're understanding the demonization of certificates in terms of, I went to college 8 years. You know what I mean? Which that doesn't matter anymore. And people will tell me, they'll say, yeah, but I have 20 years of experience. I got to get paid more. And I say, you don't. You have 1 year of experience repeated 20 times because you're doing the same damn thing over and over again. You're scared to invest in yourself. You're too close-minded to learn about Web3 or crypto. You do the same damn thing. How can you be more valuable? Value comes through, like, you get paid more based off value, not age. Value, not time. So experience doesn't matter as much anymore. Age doesn't matter as much anymore. And where you're from doesn't matter as much anymore. And even education doesn't matter. It's all about access, who you know, and if you're willing to adapt and change and provide value. That's it. So that's what's changing in a drastic way. People are just understanding manifestation. Anything is possible. You know what I mean? They see this every day. And when you said, I'll show you a cool video. That's like one of my favorite videos because it's so insane. I don't know if you could see it, but I still want to show it because it's worth it. This kind of stuff is everywhere, and no one used to see this kind of stuff. This video is so crazy to me, but it just shows the power. Where's it at? It is. Okay, this is a guy that just totally transformed. I never let you use it. So this guy totally transformed his entire life, his entire existence, money, confidence, success, demeanor, mentality, and people are seeing those every day. There was never this much proof, Brian. That's the problem. So every day they're like, this kid just... Now, is there a lot of fluff and BS? Yes, there's a lot of fake flexing. There's a lot of people that are online successful, but in actual Web 2, they're not. So you got to sift through the BS, and I think intelligent people see past hype. But there's no more excuses. The internet's made it an even playing field. There's just no more excuses. There's none. There's so much money to be made. There's so much money being thrown around. There's a huge transfer of wealth. And if you're not out to get it, if you don't fix your mentality, your prison mentality, your broke mentality, if your mom said money is bad because she knew someone in your past that was rude that had money, or if your grandparents don't like money or said people with money are greedy and you still have that mentality, you'll be broke. So you got to fix that. That's the first step, is fixing your mentality. Fixing what's in between your ears is the first step. When you fix that and you understand anything's possible and you wake up in the morning and life's an open canvas, that's when life really starts. And people are starting to see that at a younger age. And a lot of times it's people that don't go to college because they're not brainwashed. I'd say now people that drop out of high school but have a good mentor are 50 light years ahead of people that go to 4 to 8 years of college because they're brainwashed. I would take a kid, if I was betting on a kid to be successful, I would take a kid that has a good mentor that understands business and economics, that's reading good books, but drops out of high school, than a kid with 5 degrees. I'm at the pool in Boise, Idaho, like literally a month ago. And I talked to this guy in the pool. He was an ex-police officer in Bend, Oregon. And he has 7 kids. And he was telling me about his kids. All kids are successful, which is cool. I said, who's your most successful one? He goes, my youngest. And I go, I'll bet you he didn't go to college. He goes, he's the only one that dropped out. I said, I knew it. I would have called that. That's just, you predict it. It's almost like the school system is training you subconsciously to just accept rules, to be quiet, to take your place, to shut up, and just to work till you're 65 and be an employee and be a cog in the wheel. And the more you get into that system, the harder it is to get out, the more fear you have of security. You value security over freedom, right? That's why you just said these kids are making millions. Yeah, because they have no fear and they're not in the system. They believe they can make way more money than someone else telling them what they're worth. And that's what I think it is. This is cool. I've never really talked about this. This is a fun topic, but I see it very clearly now being older. I see that. Like the odds of my kids ever having money issues are 0. The odds of them making a ton of money are 100% just because of what I'm teaching them, the foundation they're getting, and the odds of them even wanting to go to college is probably very slim because they could learn the same thing at home when they're 15. So yeah, you get me. I'm passionate about this because I see it very clearly now. People are so confused by it. How did the 21-year-old make millions and this 50-year-old's broke? Well, the 50-year-old has 50 years of untraining to do. The 21-year-old dropped out as sophomore year and he's reading Robert Kiyosaki books. Who the hell do you think is going to be more successful?
Yeah. I agree 100%. What you just said there made so much sense to me because we're basically breaking the indoctrination camps right now because of the internet. The internet is allowing us to see things, especially Web3 moving that direction, is allowing us to see things that, like, at me as a child, I didn't have access to that. So the growth was much slower. But now I'm heavily invested in it, constantly changing my mind, and I'm watching everything go like this. That compounding interest starts to take off. It's fascinating to me.
Hopefully I help people understand why. People need to know why. Like I told you, I'm obsessed with why are these things happening? Why is there 21-year-old millionaires and loyal, hardworking, genuine, great people that are 45 and 50 broke? That's wild that we're living in an age where a 20-year-old can make $1 million in a year and someone 50 can be broke and confused and stressed. That's a strange dynamic. But if you understand why, and you understand how, if you talk to both of them, you could see how they ended up where they are, it makes sense. And ideally, you're able to help them.
I see exactly what you're talking about. I've thought a lot about something that people have been talking about lately. I'm kind of curious your perspective on it. Where do you see the future going with all this AI, robot technology? Like for example, here in Austin, the Waymo cars are everywhere. I drive down the street and 3 Waymo cars pass me with no drivers in them, right? Like jobs are going to be replaced. It was super trippy at first, not seeing drivers in cars. But jobs are going to be replaced. And what is the world going to be like for a lot of these people that don't know how to work for themselves? Do you see a world where that works or something changed? Something's got to give, right? Something's got to shift.
Well, here's what I've realized. There's only 3 types of people that will absolutely dominate the next 20 years. That's it. If you want to be in this, if you want to do well for your family and secure a bright future and position yourself to have nothing taken from you, you need to be in these 3 groups. One is the high-skilled worker. This is technology. This is someone who understands blockchain, understands AI, understands the back end of coding and all of that complex stuff. Those people will never be out of a job. They will continue to make a lot of money. That's number one. Now, is that me? Not at all. So that's definitely, I better get straight with these other 2, right? Because that ain't me. But I know people that are very good at that, and they're turning down $50,000 to $100,000 to code certain things because they're so busy, right? The second one is the superstars. The 5% of every industry will continue to crush it. It doesn't matter if the industry is dying or not. Comedy. I'd say 95% of comedians don't make money. That's a rough road. They make no money. They're traveling. They're living in their car. It sucks. But let's look what Kevin Hart made last year. Let's look what Theo Von made. Let's look what Seinfeld made. The top make millions. So the top 5% of every industry will do extremely well continuously because they're always enhancing their skills. They have most of the market share and they're not going anywhere. That's important to understand. So what does that mean? You have to get good at what you do. 10 years ago, you could be average and make money. That won't happen anymore the next 10 years because AI will replace you. It's replacing millions of jobs. Now, they won't replace exceptional people and exceptional experiences for a very long time, right? And the third is the owners. These are people that have access to capital, access to real money, or a very solid Rolodex and network. Those are the only 3. If you get into those 3, you're great. If you get into a group and you have access to opportunities, access to information, access to intel and alpha, access to the right people, access to capital, you're good. But if you're not in one of those 3 groups, you better buckle up because it's going to be very scary. That's why I create what I create to help people get out of that, to reach one of these 3 groups. And that's what I truly believe will happen the next 20 years. So you can't be average anymore. You can't be lazy anymore. You can't be half-assed anymore. You can't be off the cuff anymore. You got to lock in and have a military routine and get really good at what you do and enhance your skills and make sure you understand the power of priorities and know yourself. You do that, you're golden. That's the only 3 things. I really believe that's the only 3 people that will thrive in the next 5 or 10 years. Because most people don't want to reach the 5 or 10% because it takes too much work. they've gotten by being half-assed or being lazy. It won't work anymore. It just, you can't be average anymore. I'd say you have another year or two to be average. So you lazy people that want to continue being average, I'd maybe milk it for a year if you really want to. But after that, you're going to get your ass kicked, sadly.
Yeah. I see what you're talking about. I look at it all the time, watching it come down basically down the road. And so if we were to take a look, there's couple things I want to ask you before we call it a day, because I know you got a tight schedule. With all this stuff that's coming, where do you see if we look at crypto and Web3? A lot of people are still saying, I don't know about that crypto. What about that crypto? And I know from talking to you and getting to know you that there ain't no stopping that train. That train's coming. What do you see with crypto and Web3 as far as this new reality that's being built?
Well, it'll be in the fabric of everything. You won't need to have physical paper. You won't have to have contracts, mortgage brokers, and all that stuff. It'll be on the blockchain. It'll be Web3 because it's so transparent and it's so decentralized. Right now, it's just so new. It's still the wild, wild west. There's not as much regulation. And it's still the internet age, early 2000 internet age, where people are still thinking it's a fad and it's going to go away. But the early adopters always make the most money. If you get involved when everyone else gets involved, by definition, you're late, right? So it's going to be in the fabric of everything because it's such good technology. I've said this for years. The technology is brilliant. It's just there's a lot of bad actors. So I would find a way to position yourself where you can actually get a piece of that. Find the best possible projects, the best builders, the best founders. I don't know where Web3 is going to be in what types of industries, but eventually it will be almost everywhere because it makes sense. Because the technology makes sense. It'll be in real estate. It'll be all over. It'll be intertwined with AI. And I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know all the intricate details, but I've just seen how fast and I've seen how transparent things are. And that's the one thing the world needs. Now, here's the axiom. Here's the problem. The government is not about transparency, and it's not about putting people first. So when there's something that can be super transparent and decentralized that everybody loves, that the people love, like Bitcoin, and then there's a huge force up here that doesn't want that, there's the friction. That's what we're fighting right now. But the truth always wins. And I think they're going to be forced to have to adapt to bring it to the economy because there's going to be too much rebellion. There's already, BlackRock bought $250 million of Bitcoin yesterday. They have like 300,000 Bitcoin. The top JP Morgan has Bitcoin. The top companies have Bitcoin now. If it wasn't going to be mass adopted, these companies wouldn't be buying Bitcoin. There wouldn't be an ETF.
Think about how Jamie Dimon will come out and trash Bitcoin, and then he'll turn around and create his own coin and buy it. It's obvious they're just messing with people.
I saw a stray cat on the way home yesterday, and I actually trust that stray cat more than Jamie Dimon, to be honest.
For those of you who don't know, Jamie Dimon is the CEO of Chase Morgan. So
you've had some Chase issues, haven't you?
Yes, I have. And I've actually found a new bank. I'm moving all my money over. Me and Chase are parting ways for sure.
Here's another thing. Like, I go into the bank, I want 10K cash. They think it's like crazy. We don't have that. It's like, how do you not have that? I can't wire money on the weekend. It takes 3 days. I can send $100,000 of Bitcoin like this with like a $3 fee. How can that not be better? If the government actually cared about our better interests and our well-being, and the banks cared, and the Federal Reserve cared, they already would have adopted it 10 years ago. But it gives them less control. So they don't want that.
And they're trying to figure out how they can control it, regulate it, tax it, all that kind of stuff. And they realize it's hard. It's it's going to be a challenge, and that's why it's so awesome. I can't wait to see what's coming in that area. So, I guess for time's sake, I want to ask one more quick question. What is I want to go into one little area. Because I see your intensity. You're an intense, powerful guy. Like, you got the excitement for life, this excitement for doing all this stuff. But we were talking about this earlier. You really believe in work-life balance. You really believe in, like, there's this feeling when I watch you talk that you could be business all day long, 18 hours a day, but that's not who you are. Deep down inside, you believe in work-life balance, spending time with your kids, spending time with your family, creating that sense of freedom, the whole reason you're working. Do I have that correct?
100%. I don't call it balance because there is no balance. We are raising two siblings from my wife's side, as well as our two kids. So right now we have four, and I'm running multiple businesses, and I have an investment portfolio, and I go to church twice a week, and I'm trying to protect my peace at the highest level, but also serve as much as I can and be the rock for everybody around me. So there's never balance. So I don't like that word. It's more harmony. It's harmonizing everything together. It's making sure that I have harmony, and I put systems in place, Brian, that are solidifying my growth and success. So that's important to me. So if I was going to leave with value on how I'm doing what I'm doing, because I am keeping my peace, because I start with prayer, I start with gratitude, I get up before everybody else, I take deep breaths, and I embrace the chaos because it's the stage I'm at in my life. People don't realize life's in stages. I'm at a certain stage where I'm embracing the chaos. I'm embracing us getting our house cleaned and paying a certain amount of money for our house clean, and then an hour later, it's exactly how it was before we cleaned it, right? I'm embracing that because that's the stage we're at. And I have things that I put in my schedule that regardless of how I feel, I get done, right? So for example, I think discipline and willpower is very hard to keep, but I think systems are easy. So I have a trainer that comes 3 days a week. Used to be 4, now it's 3 because we go to the rec center. 3 days a week. Every single time he comes early morning. I don't feel like working out, but I have him come. He's there. I have to work out. So no matter how busy my week gets or what I'm feeling or what's going on, I still get my health in order. Food-wise, we don't have any unhealthy food in the house. So if we have cravings, if we want ice cream, because when you eat bad food, it kills your brain and you don't think right. You're not clear. You're foggy. And people that eat sloppy usually have sloppy lives. People that eat based off pleasure, if you're older than 5 years old, you should probably stop that if you really care about business. So I don't eat that crap. Now, do I feel like it all the time? I feel like it every day. At night, I'm like, I wish I had some ice cream or something, but there's none in the house. So we can't physically eat that. So I protect myself and have so many boundaries on certain areas that it forces me to be consistent and have growth every single week in my family and in my business life because I have systems in place. So harmonize everything together, understand your most important priorities, what's most important to you, and put those first. And Tim Ferriss told me years ago, he said, Peter, if you want to be successful and live a fulfilling life, you have to be okay with not responding to people and saying no. So people make to-do lists, Brian. I make not to-do lists, and it works way better. And that's it. And I'm not perfect. I have to adapt. My wife knows, and having a solid partner is key. My wife knows when I'm a tiny bit, what's that word? Triggered a little bit, or I'm like a little easily irritated. She knows, and she gives me space, and she knows exactly what to do to calm me down and to put me back in my place in a good way, so I can be present and not let the kids see that. So I have a good system in place, and it's taken years and years and years. But when you always adapt and adjust, and you're always trying to figure out how you operate and why you operate, it's easier to continue to grow and invest in yourself and get better. If that makes sense. Long loaded answer.
I love the answer because I do the same. I've been adjusting things in my life 1% at a time for years. And you see the compounding interest of those little adjustments and what it does to you long term. So I want to ask you one last question, and then we'll call it a day. What do you, in your mind, and any answer is great here, what do you consider success?
I think success is living a world-class life and being able to look yourself in the mirror and be proud and be able to sleep purely, feeling really good about what you do. And I think real success for me, if you're asking me personally, is being at the end of your life and watching your kids and grandkids play, knowing that you were able to build something so strong that can pass generation to generation, and you had no regrets. You live life right, almost backwards from back to front because you thought things through. So real success to me is living a world-class life full of giving and feeling good and feeling pure about that, but passing it down to generations that can continue to impact, continue to serve, and continue to help people down the line so we can shift this culture in a positive direction. So like I said at the beginning, all the worldly success, all the money in the world doesn't make up for a broken home that you can actually help fix. And if you have that mentality, I think that's what the world needs, is more present. I think the new flex, Brian, for me, people that have kids, the new flex is being a present parent and raising kids right.
Yeah, I can see that. I see how much you value being a parent. I just have tremendous respect for that. And I didn't know you go to church twice a week. I have tremendous respect for that too. So I want to acknowledge you for both of those. You're building
We were
something
like,
beautiful.
and I like, there's a reason why we relate, and I like talking to you and stuff. We're very similar in a sense. So it's good to have someone out there like you that's helping people, impacting people, actually helping people look in deep and become more successful and use their gifts. And now you're spreading the word more, having a podcast. It's cool, man. I'm here to help anything you need.
Thank you, brother. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to, the years to come, the next few years, seeing what happens, especially with Web3, getting to know you a little bit better and going deeper with these principles. Awesome. Well, with that said, I want to thank everybody for being part of the podcast. I want to invite everybody to comment. I'm in those comments a lot the first week these videos come out, if it's on YouTube or Rumble or wherever we have it. And I'm always really taking a deep dive as to what you guys write. What you write in there really changes people. People really pay attention to the comments. So I want to encourage you to start a discussion in there about what Peter talked about. This is valuable, important stuff. And one little thing can change your life. One little idea can radically shift your life at deep levels. And I think this podcast is filled with nuggets. So with that said, I want to thank you all for being here. And Peter, anything you want to say in closing, or are we good?
Now matters, man. Live now. Now matters. Most people spend the first half of their life saying, I'm too young. Then they spend the second half, I'm too old. It's like, dude, now matters. That's it. Don't live on Sunday Isle.
Someday I'll. That's perfect. We'll close on that. Thank you. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and we'll see you in the next podcast.